Hello everyone, welcome back to Hills Mill Homestead. This morning we're out here in our orchard, and I'm going to tell you we've really been blessed this year with a good crop of our peaches and apples. And so every day I come out here and I try to find some that are ready to pick. And let me tell you, look, these peach limbs are just hanging with good peaches. Now these are some of the better ones that I've actually picked off this tree. This tree, for our permaculture orchard, this tree is 5 years old. And so it's put on a lot of good peaches this year. So let's take a look at some more of our orchard and show you some success of our orchard antenna that I've developed and I've got into our orchard, and now we offer it on our website at hillsmill.com. And so let's go look at some more success in our orchard. Talking about the orchard antenna that I designed. If you've got cane poles, they work great on a cane pole. Now you might want to drive our ground is hard, so you might want to drive your hole into the ground and then put the cane pole into it. But as you can see, I've got it, you want to place it 3 to 4 feet away from the trunk of your tree. And one of the main reasons, you don't want to get into one of the main roots. So the design of my orchard antenna is to affect about a 9-foot radius around your fruit tree or whatever you're going to put it around. Now if you're just putting this out in your regular garden, it's the same thing. It's going to have a 9-foot radius effect into the soil. And once again, the electrons that are being received with this antenna, the electrons are going to be pulled through this antenna. This is a received antenna because it is wound clockwise. And it's going to bring those electrons into the soil. The good bacteria, it's going to make the good bacteria in your soil grow. And it is also going to boost all the live microorganisms that's in your soil. And in effect, that allows this tree to be much more healthy and productive. Well, it looks like our apples are doing well this year. I think this tree, this is the 5th year, and the 3rd year it had apples as big as a softball. So hopefully we'll have a lot more of those this year. But there's something I want to share with you, and it mainly deals with cedar rust. And so that's a fungus that's airborne in the early spring. And it can come from a cedar tree up to 2 miles away. So it's very difficult. You can remove all your cedars, but it's still going to be airborne. But one thing that you can do to help the situation is to remove what's called a mummy fruit. And that's going to be a diseased fruit from last year that hung around on the tree because that virus is still in that fruit. And I've spotted one up here that I need to try to get to. I don't know if you can film this or not. Yeah, get on out of here. But you may have to see if you can see this. But it's a dead fruit. And in that dead fruit is the fungus that we don't want on our tree. Look at here. It's called a mummy fruit. So you see these on your apple trees, any of your fruit trees, you need to remove this. And not only remove it, just don't throw it on the ground, but get rid of it as far as you can. Because that has that airborne virus in it, if it's called a virus, that affects the tree, especially with the cedar rust. And I don't see any more, so we're in good shape on that. So it looks like the birds are not going to have to go very far to get themselves a fresh apple. But these are doing pretty good so far. Not a lot of bird pecks. Let me tell you, I have this air rifle that makes a lot of noise when it shoots a pellet. So I don't shoot the birds. I just tell them they're not wanted, they're not welcome in my apple trees. I'm gonna make one more pass to make sure I don't see another mummy. Last year, the big ones, the big apples were up at the very top. But I don't see any more. So that's good. And I don't see a lot of diseased apples, which is even great. Now this little tree is loaded. I think this is the Granny Crisp. This one and that one are matching. But it is loaded. I actually went back in the spring and looked for any of the little mummy apples and removed all of them, but apparently I missed that one, but it's gone now. So there shouldn't be any more, but I'll do that again this fall. If there's an apple left on this tree that went bad, I'm going to remove it and toss it. Just look at that stem of apples. You don't see that on every tree. You just really don't. So we're really blessed with our apple orchard and the production that it's doing this year. This tree, 4 or 5 years old. All these were planted at the same time, and deer came along during deer season and rubbed the bark on one of them, and I lost it. So you can see that I have this little plastic mesh around the base of the tree. And you can still see scars where a buck rubbed that one. But after I put that mesh up, haven't had any problem. They like the apples, but I like them better than they do. It's not bearing as heavy as the other one, but it's doing really good. And the apples are nice and clean. We've got some netting that we'll throw over it if the birds get really bad, but so far we're okay. But I keep an eye on it constantly, trust me. I'm always looking out the window for anything that's in my garden or orchard that's not beneficial. I don't need it in here. Those are some pretty apples. Look. There's one up top too. Can't reach it. Come look at my grapes. Let's look how handy these easy clips are that we keep talking about, that we use for our tomatoes, blackberries, raspberries, and even for the grapes. You can tell what I'm trying to do here is I want one main branch to come up here, and then I want it to split left and right, and then I want these two bottom ones split left and right to cover all of this. So until they get tall enough, I got my little bamboo sticks attached with the easy clip, and then I just use the easy clip to attach the grape to it and let it grow. And when it gets enough where I can attach it to the bottom wire and the top wire, then I'll take the bamboo sticks out. But this is a new grape, and we just put this trellis up a couple of months ago, and we're going to try to get us a couple more trellises up here of raspberries and grapes. The little crab apple sure did produce. If you wonder why I have a crab apple, because most of your fruit trees, especially your apple, are grafted off of a crab apple because that's such a common tree and it helps it really grow well. So that's why I have this crab apple amongst the orchard, is for pollination. You know, one thing I've noticed, I've seen some Japanese beetles on our rose, but I haven't seen a Japanese beetle anywhere else. So that's another pest that I'm gonna be on top of. My goodness, come on over here and look at these peaches. They are loaded. Look at this limb that is just loaded with peaches. I'm afraid these limbs are, if these get very big, I may have to prop up some of these limbs. But these peaches are loaded. And again, I'm not seeing a lot of pests. I'm not seeing a lot of damage to the peaches, which is great. So if we can just keep that rhythm moving, we'll have some really good peaches. Same thing as your peach tree. If you see any mummy peaches at the end of the season, you need to remove those also. And I'm looking for any bad peaches. If I see a bad one, I'm gonna go ahead and remove it now. I see one right here, has some sort of anomaly on it there. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove it now. It's got an insect in it, or it did have, because it's already gelled back over now. Speaking of Japanese beetles, there went one flying right there. You know the best way to tell if a blackberry is ready, because you want to pick it at its sweetest time. And when you find a berry that is ready to pick, if you just touch it and it falls off, that is as sweet as it will ever be. But if you have to work at it to pull it off, leave it on there another day. Let it get just a little more sweet. But these blackberries are, let's see, this is third year with the Freedom and second year with the Triple Crown. And man, do they make a good blackberry cobbler. Woo! Some of these are good size. I think we'll have enough for maybe 2 or 3 cobblers this time. And it looks like I've got to clip up some more of these canes. And that brings me to, let me sit this down a second. And that brings me to our easy clip. We keep talking about these easy clips. And goodness gracious, they're so versatile. I use them on the blackberries, raspberries. I use them on the grapes. I use them on the tomatoes, cucumbers, anything that you need to put them on. If you've got a wire to attach to, that's the only way to go right there. Can you get behind me? But yeah, I got a few more to pick here. These are ready too, they're nice. You know, I remember as a young boy picking blackberries, and of course that was on the side of the road with the thorns. And of course in the summertime we were always looking for something to do to make a dollar. And we used to pick blackberries, and we had a local swap shop radio where you could call in to sell things. And we call into swap shop and sell all of our blackberries. Maybe at the end of a couple of days we'd have a 5-gallon bucket full, but we'd break it down into gallons. $2 a gallon is what we used to sell blackberries for. I don't know, last time I even seen somebody selling blackberries, they were $15 or $20 a pound now. But my goodness, that's not really been that long ago, $2 a gallon. Maybe that's how we got our Easter egg money, picking blackberries. But I guess that would have been after Easter, wouldn't it? Yeah, these Freedom, they're good sized berries. Good berries. Good berries. I've seen bigger, but let me tell you, these things have really produced. You know, our plant surge, I'm sure, has helped on the production of these blackberries as well. And everything that we water with the plant surge, I've definitely seen an improvement. Sure is nice to pick blackberries without having to pick thorns out of your fingers. Look at all these new canes for next year. See, they're a biannual, so they're going to put on canes this year, but they won't produce until next year. These nice blackberries in here hiding. Yeah, you just thought you was going to get away. Well, every time I'm out in the orchard, I'm always inspecting our trees, and if there's any fruit that didn't pollinate right, or if it has any imperfections, I always remove it. But I'm going to say that the success of our orchard antenna is starting to show up really well. This tree is 4 years old, our other one is 5, and this one is loaded, and these are some really great apples. So we hope that you've enjoyed our content. We really appreciate you spending your time with us, watching this video, and we're going to make another video coming out soon, and thank you for watching.